This One's Wife, pair of thick grifters. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As you recall in parts passim, This One's Wife and Harry turned up at the baseball game, and I analysed what all of that was about. One notable feature was that these two were wearing LA Dodger baseball caps. Yes, and the pair of them were sat there gurning away, occasionally into the camera. In other instances, Harry looked rather cheesed off, and they were demonstrating their support. Well, following this, the old Prince of Pink Pancakes has found himself in Canada, and as per The Guardian, the Duke of Sussex has apologised to Canada after he and his wife, this one's wife, were photographed wearing Los Angeles Dodgers caps while attending a World Series game against the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, at the time, it was said that Harry ought to be supporting the Blue Jays because Canada's a Commonwealth country and the Blue Jays are from Canada. And as a consequence of the link between the royal family and the Commonwealth, he ought to have been showing his support for the Toronto Blue Jays. Understandably, his handler is from Los Angeles, so she would support the Los Angeles Dodgers, although, as we all know, she suddenly acquired an interest in baseball in order to try and look relatable. Hitherto, she showed no interest in it whatsoever. But Harry doesn't get a say in these things. He has to do as he's told. And after all, he either is going to do as his wife requires of him, because she is his handler and controller, or in other instances, he will just go along with what's being instructed because, well, he doesn't really think. And the absence of thought on the part of these two, demonstrating they are rather dim. She's marginally clever than him. She's got street smarts compared to him, but neither of them what you would describe as book smart. She thinks she is, but she's not, and we all know he's a dimwit. And also, they are a pair of grifters. They grift, driven by different reasons, but they both are grifters. But he's apparently apologised to Canada. He explained to Canadian broadcaster CTV that he wore the Dodgers merchandise under duress during Game 4 of the series, saying it felt like the polite thing to do after being invited to the dugout by the team's owner. Firstly, I would like to apologise to Canada for wearing it, he said. Secondly, I was under duress. There wasn't much choice. The Duke, who conducted the interview wearing a Blue Jays cap, is in Canada for Remembrance Week events. When you're missing a lot of hair on top and you're sitting under floodlights, you'll take any hats that are available, he joked. Game 5, Game 6, Game 7, I was Blue Jays throughout. Now that I've admitted that, it's going to be pretty hard for me to return back to Los Angeles. Yeah, I think perhaps, though, Harry, that you've blown the chances of being invited back as a guest of the owner of the LA Dodgers out of the water by virtue of, first of all, revealing that's why you were there in the first place. They might not have wanted their hospitality to have been revealed, but also describing it as being under duress. That's not very polite, is it? Somebody comps you for front row seats at the baseball, which cost thousands of dollars, and your response is to say, oh, I was only really there wearing the baseball cap under duress. Thanks very much, you fucking quarter-wit. But this tells us so much about Harry and this one's wife. First of all, they're on the grift again. They were there under somebody else's dollar. So for this one's wife, the invitation to attend, or however it was orchestrated, allows her to assert control over the audience because it's another opportunity for her to parade herself, that she acquires character traits by virtue of pretending that she's an LA Dodgers fan. She draws fuel by way of people's responses, and there's a residual benefit because she didn't have to pay for them. Parasite that she is, it was a freebie from the owner. Harry then goes and demonstrates that they are a pair of grifters by admitting that they received the seats by way of invitation, but then basically dumps on that hospitality by saying, well, I only wore the cap because I was under duress. And then shows what a fair weather fan he is by going, but anyway, Mr. LA Dodgers, thanks for the invitation, but to you, I'm going to say I was there under duress and I'm going to put my Blue Jays cap back on. Nobody would have bothered, Harry, if you'd have sat there wearing a Blue Jays cap. The owner wouldn't have given a rat's ass. Your handler could have worn her LA Dodgers one. And in actual fact, it would have made you look like you've got a bit of a spine for once, because you would have remained true to the team that you ought to be supporting, that you claimed to support, and that you weren't bending to the will of your wife. Instead, you've made yourself look like a complete tit that most people know you to be. But hey, I'm a limey in all of this. What do I know about it? Let's ask some Canadians what they think about Harry and this one's wife's behaviour.
That's Harry and Meghan at the World Series, Jays versus Dodgers, and they're wearing Dodgers caps.
As a Canadian, I saw red. I'm sure you did as well.
I mean, look at this. Every time we spend our money, who do we see? We see your grandmother, bro.
Then Prince Harry comes to Canada, and look what happens. He actually takes his crisp Dodger hat off. He puts on a Blue Jay hat. He says, what does he say?
He says, I was under duress because I was invited by the owner of the Dodgers to the game. So he had to wear a
There it is.
hat.
There it is. Come on. You can't go back.
Fair weather fan, bro. What is that?
You can't do that.
That's lame.
That was from an Instagram account which was sent to me by one of my Canadian viewers, readers and clients, who clearly is unimpressed with the behaviour of this one's wife and Harry. And that's echoed by the man and lady that you have seen in that short video clip, where they correctly identify Harry as being a fair weather friend. Once again, the pair of them, they're completely useless. They demonstrate that they're on the grift by accepting free seats. They then dump on that hospitality by basically saying, oh, I only supported the LA Dodgers because I was invited. In actual fact, I'm now going back to the Blue Jays. Shows Harry to be a wishy-washy simp, which many people know him to be already, and it's rather rude behaviour towards somebody that afforded you attendance at the baseball. As mentioned, you might as well have worn a Blue Jay cap and have been consistent, but no. Now, Harry perhaps might be joking that he was there under duress, but the fact is that many people may not see it as a joke. They may think to themselves, oh, right, so somebody's invited you and you turn around and basically say the only reason you were wearing the cap of the owner was because you were there under duress because you've been invited, which makes it sound like they had to drag you there. And it's not a very polite way of saying thank you for the hospitality. Oh, and you were both on the grift once again. What a surprise. Yet again, these two just keep messing it up because, yeah, they're a pair of thick grifters. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.